volando de puerto en puerto. Yo sé que la vida es corta, al fin que también la debo. Un día que yo me muera, no voy a llevarme nada. Hay que darle uso al gusto, la vida pronto se acaba. ¿Qué pasó en este mundo? No más el recuerdo queda. Que ha muerto, voy a llevarme. No más un puño de tierra.
I have been in the marine science field for about 10 years now. My primary focus of study in Monterey Bay is killer whale research, and I first got interested in marine wildlife, killer whales, from the movie Free Willy. So it inspired me as a child, and I've always wanted to work with killer whales. The Monterey Bay is extraordinarily diverse. You could see pretty much anything at any time of year. I'm on the boat almost every day, especially during our orca season, our killer whale season, which is in April and May. So I'll be out on the boat 7 days a week for almost 2 months, always trying to see as many killer whales as possible, document all their behaviors. We use various research techniques, the drone, cameras, underwater video. They are just incredible animals, always looking out for each other, it seems, especially the killer whales, even the humpback whales that sometimes try to protect animals from killer whale predations. They are so highly intelligent, family-oriented, very, very peaceful and soulful animals. A lot of the humpback whales especially, and sometimes the killer whales, get very, very curious about humans, it seems, and they come right up to the boat. So I've actually had multiple killer whales actually bring their prey right over to the boat. We've also gotten humpback whales that have kind of rubbed along the boat and gotten really friendly with the boat, and they almost seem to stare into your souls. They know that you're there, they're looking at you, and it's a pretty amazing feeling. In April, we are starting a collaborative project with an organization called OceanWise, who are based up in Canada, and we are collecting eDNA from the killer whales and looking at their microbiomes. We take school groups from all over California, sometimes from different states. We take them at a highly discounted rate because we want these kids to be able to see the ocean, experience the ocean, and learn all about Monterey Bay's wildlife.
My name is Anya. I'm actually a master's student in environmental psychology, and I'm working together with Monterey Bay Whale Watching to study the effects of ocean and wildlife, such as whales, on our well-being. We just had a very good trip. We saw a lot of different wildlife. I had a great time out there.
Oh, just fine, thanks. We had the most amazing trips the last couple of days. We have people that come around from all around the world. They come here because it's their dream. But I have to tell you a sad story. I had a couple that came from Paris. They stood in front of me and they said, "This is our dream to be here." And it was the worst, awfulest weather ever. And they didn't get to see anything and they were wet and cold. I feel so bad. Sometimes you come and you get a beautiful treasure. You know, you have a whale leaping out of the water. You might see a killer whale. You just see a lion beside the boat. You never know what you might get. My first trip out, I get seasick, so it took me 6 months to talk myself into going out. I watched what I ate, I took a pill, I went whale watching. We had 36 blue whales, 3 fin whales, 20 Dall's porpoise. This was my birthday, September 10th in 2003. My very first whale, blue whale swimming towards the boat. He breathed out, kept coming and coming with this rainbow. It hit me. I got oil on my glasses. So it's whale's breath, not whale snot.
Got a gift for your birthday.
Beautiful gift for my birthday, absolutely. And so from then on, I was hooked on this place. It's 10 dimensions compared to your imagination. When my imagination was like Monstro from Pinocchio, but it turns out to be so much more spectacular. Beautiful weather and amazing animals. This is what it looked like when I arrived here. It was called Sam's Fishing Fleet. My boss, Nancy Black, who's a killer whale expert and marine biologist, had come here to do her thesis on the Pacific white-sided dolphin. She came to Sam's Fishing Fleet and chartered vessels to take people to go whale watching. Little by little, she earned enough money to be able to purchase the business, and it became Monterey Bay Whale Watch. But Nancy came early enough where people in Monterey still thought there was only gray whales out there. They had no real idea what was really out there. She saw humpbacks and blue whales, fin whales, sei whales, menkeys, sperm whales. She was the first to actually year-round whale watch. I'd retired from my dad's Christmas shops in Carmel. I came to work here when my son was working here as a captain, and he called me and said, hey Mom, you still looking for a job? And I said, yeah. He goes, well, the lady that was working here just got arrested for embezzling, so there's a job opening. I took advantage of that, and because we still needed other clerks, my sister Jeannie was also unemployed. I gave her a call. I said, you wanted to do it? She said, yeah, and we've been here ever since. Now we're shop supervisors.
So number 1 and number 2 employee.
Number 1 and number 2 employee.
This used to be a solid white door. One of our co-workers said, hey, you ought to paint a pier piling on the door. I talked to a marine biologist and I asked, if I was going to see a pier piling, what kind of sea anemones and animals would I see? These are the zones of the pier pilings. The top zone, where the water would go down, the animals that can live out of water would be at the top of the pier. And then these might be able to make it out of water a little bit longer, and these might make it out of water a little bit longer. And once the tide gets down to here, it starts to attack these sea sponges and sea anemones, sea grass, and sea lettuce. There's a couple of different sea stars, and then we have these tiny little fish that swim around the piling, and then we have cormorants that dive down and eat those fish. And then we have sea otter that picks up crabs and other abalone and such as that. A sea otter will take a bottle and little octopuses will go in the bottle. The sea otter will get the bottle and pull the octopus out.
This is a little whiskey bottle. He's not drinking. He's actually used this for a little octopus trap. He'll actually know where he drops it on the ocean again. He'll come back to it again and find another octopus living inside of it. So they take advantage of what they find. Photograph was taken by our wonderful photographer Daniel Bianchetta. It's signed and available for purchase.
Part of what I do is I'll get the ID shots for the humpback whales or the killer whales, and they go up to Cascadia Research, and it's how they track them in the bay. We had a whale die about a year ago named Fran, and before we started naming the whales, it just would have been a dead whale on the beach. And all of a sudden now it was Fran who has a calf that survived, which was very unusual. But it wasn't just another whale on the beach. We knew that whale. So naming it really made a difference. If I named this whale, I would call it Lucky. All of these lines are killer whale rake marks when it was young. So it got away from the killer whales, but they really marked up its tail. As a child, we had a beach house in Massachusetts. I've always lived by an ocean after that. And I spent a year and a half underwater in a submarine, so I love the ocean a lot. But when I come in the morning, I'm always like a 6-year-old kid. I'm always really excited.
So my favorite killer whale in our population is named Emma, CA-140. She was one of the first wild killer whales that I ever saw in my life. And she is an exceptional mom, an amazing hunter. She has actually taken down a gray whale calf in 20 minutes. That's our record of anywhere in the world of how fast she can actually hunt a gray whale calf. She has 5 successful offspring, and one of her daughters also has 4 of her own offspring. So the last time we saw Emma, I believe, was in November. So it's been a few months now, but we're coming up to our killer whale season in April and May, and she always shows up in the spring. So I get very, very excited every time I see Emma. Sometimes I'm in tears. There was one time where she brought all of her kids and swam underneath the boat, and it was just a incredible moment for me, and I started crying. One of the most common pieces of marine debris that we see out in the ocean is mylar balloons. So unfortunately, that's a reality where people release the balloons either purposely or accidentally, and then they end up in the ocean. And a lot of our marine mammals and sea turtles can accidentally ingest the balloons, can get caught in their throats, they can fill up their stomachs so they think that they're actually full and don't eat anything else. And then also they could break down into microplastics, which then of course go in the water columns. And the marine mammals here are protected by the law, and no one can harm, hunt, harass, or really do anything to these marine mammals. They are protected here in the United States. However, there are some areas in the world that still allow hunting of whales and dolphins, like Japan, Iceland, and Norway. But we're very, very lucky here in the United States that these animals are always protected, and they even have some extra protections here in the Monterey Bay National Marine Sanctuary.
I'm at Hopkins Marine Station, Stanford University, and what's behind us is one of the oldest marine reserves, marine protected areas along the west coast of California. It's known as the Hopkins Marine Life Refuge that was established in 1930. So what we have is the Hopkins Marine Life Refuge that has now been expanded, along with many other marine life refuges up and down the coast of California that help protect the marine environment. The Monterey Bay Aquarium, which was established in the 1980s, was able to locate right where it is because of the Grand Canyon. The aquarium's line is inspiring conservation of the oceans, and they do a phenomenal job.